Definitely, the big center Al Horford is signed, but the Warriors want to be champions now. But they also think about the future, and a big center is unhappy with the Utah Jazz, and it would be a big deal if the Warriors could bring Walker Kessler, who is a young and talented center, grabs a lot of rebounds and makes a lot of double-doubles. With Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Steve Kerr choosing to wait presumably until after Jonathan Kuminga's free agency decision to speak publicly, it was a rather uneventful media day for the Golden State Warriors on Monday. Sure, veterans Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green were all asked about the Kuminga situation, but they all gave reasonably diplomatic answers and are clearly in the belief that the young forward will return to the team later in the week. Elsewhere around the league there were some notable comments from players, including at the Utah Jazz from a young player who's now set to become a restricted free agent himself after failed extension talks. Walker Kessler is frustrated over not getting an extension with the Jazz. Last week Tony Jones of The Athletic reported that the Jazz and Walker Kessler will not reach an agreement on a rookie-scale contract extension. Given that Kessler has found himself at the center of trade speculation over the last couple of years, this news certainly would have pricked the ears of some across the league. So too would have Kessler's answer to questions on his extension, or lack thereof, at Media Day, with the young center admitting he's definitely a little frustrated as he prepares for what is now an even more important fourth year in the league. Walker Kessler on potentially not getting an extension. I'm definitely a little frustrated. As long as I have a Utah Jazz jersey on, I will play winning basketball. Combine the lack of an extension with Kessler's Media Day comments, and teams around the league, including the Warriors, should already be keeping an eye on the 24-year-old as a potential mid-season trade target. After being taken 22nd overall in the 2022 NBA Draft, Kessler had an impressive first season that saw him finish third in Rookie of the Year and emerge as one of the best young centers in the league. While his second year didn't bring the steps many were expecting, his career regained momentum last season where he averaged a career-high 11.1 points, 12.2 rebounds, 1.7 assists and 2.4 blocks in 30 minutes per game. Golden State have just come to terms with veteran center Al Horford in free agency, giving them a reasonably comfortable big man trio of Quentin Post and Tracy Jackson-Davis. Neither of those three are the true shot-blocking and interior presence that Kessler is though, and nor are Post and Jackson-Davis quite developed enough where you can lock them in as the Warriors' starting center of the future. If Kessler becomes available and if Golden State would be willing to pay him as a restricted free agent, then they should certainly explore the idea of bringing someone in who can fortify the interior over the long term. Actually striking a deal with Danny Ainge and the Jazz will be a completely different story for the Warriors though, particularly after going through trade negotiations with them last offseason in relation to All-Star forward Lauri Markkanen. How Warriors plans to re-sign Seth Curry mid-season. The Golden State Warriors are reportedly preparing to waive Steph Curry's brother, Seth Curry, ahead of the 2025-26 NBA season. The move is not because they don't want him, but because they need to clear salary cap space. The team plans to re-sign him later in mid-November, according to NBA insider Mark Stein. In order to make this happen, the Warriors will sign Seth on an Exhibit 9 contract. It is a non-guaranteed deal often used to check out players in training camp and whether they can fit in the main roster. This is also a way teams use to waive a player before the regular season without owing full salary guarantees and still have them for practice during training camp. With Jonathan Kuminga signing a 4-year, $24,855,347 contract with the Warriors, Golden State has lost much of its cap space. Therefore, they need to make such arrangements to facilitate the signing of Curry. What does Seth Curry bring to Warriors? For the first time since joining the league, Seth and Steph Curry will play on the same team. The duo will hope to land an NBA title for the Warriors, who last won it in 2022. Last season, Seth led the NBA in three-point shooting percentage, 45.6%. The Warriors' offensive identity very much revolves around making shots from deep. Curry will help reinforce that identity. Seth is primarily a shooter, and he's not known for his defensive attributes. Therefore, Warriors coach Steve Kerr will need to position him accordingly so that they can maximize the upside he comes with, which is his shooting skills. Warriors react to Draymond Green's bold statement before NBA season. Draymond Green, who is now entering his 14th season with the Golden State Warriors, has already achieved so much in what has been a decorated NBA career. This includes, among other things, 2 All-NBA nods, 4 All-Star appearances, a Defensive Player of the Year title and 4 championships. All this has done little to burn out the hunger in Green, though. In fact, the 35-year-old has now set his sights on a lofty objective ahead of the 2025-26 season. "It would mean the world to me," Green said, of potentially becoming just the 6th player in NBA history to be named to the All-Defense team 10 times. "That's my motivation to go and try to make another All-Defensive team and join that list. It's an amazing list. All first-ballot Hall of Famers. To try and put myself and my name in the hat with those guys. Anytime you can put your name next to guys like that, you're talking Kobe, Bryant, Tim, Duncan. Those names, and I can put my little name next to that? I mean, that would be a dream come true. So that is definitely a motivating factor for me this year, for sure." The Warriors just had to send a message after hearing Green's lofty objective. Draymond's quest to join a prestigious list begins soon, the team posted on Instagram. Warriors officially cut ties with former G League DPOY. All good things must come to an end in the NBA. With the Golden State Warriors signing Jonathan Kuminga, Al Horford, Seth Curry, DeAnthony Melton, and Gary Payton II to round out its roster, it's safe to say that a 6'8" champion forward and former Defensive Player of the Year's short run with the Dubs is over. Braxton Key earned a 2-way contract with the Warriors this past March, and thanks to a solid first impression, the 28-year-old managed to turn that 2-way deal into a standard contract in mid-April. However, Key, who won a G League championship with the Delaware Bluecoats in 2023 and Defensive Player of the Year honors with the Memphis Hustle last season, wasn't much of a factor for the Warriors to close the 2024-25 campaign. The Virginia product averaged 1 point and 0.7 rebounds per game in 3 outings, while playing 3.7 minutes per game. Key's production remained the same in the postseason, as the Charlotte, North Carolina native only contributed 0.4 points and 1.8 rebounds in 5 contests. Key signed a training camp deal with the Memphis Grizzlies last Wednesday, making it clear that he was well aware the Warriors were moving on from him after less than a full season. If the 2022 G League All-Defensive Team member can find his niche in the big leagues sooner rather than later, he'll improve his odds of sticking around for the long haul. Warriors coach Steve Kerr gets real about future with contract expiring. The Golden State Warriors offseason was highlighted by contract negotiations with restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga, who agreed to a 2-year, $48.5 million contract with the organization Tuesday. Along with Kuminga's return to Golden State, the club also finalized deals with Al Horford, DeAnthony Melton, and Gary Payton II. Seth Curry is also set to join his brother for training camp on an Exhibit 9 deal, though he's expected to be waived and re-signed once the Warriors have enough apron flexibility. Still, one future contract looms large for Golden State, head coach Steve Kerr. The 60-year-old has been at the helm since the 2014-15 campaign, when the Warriors won their first of 4 titles under his leadership. Warriors bring back fan favorite Gary Payton II on new deal. Steve Kerr hopeful to return to Golden State. Kerr is entering the final year of his current deal and doesn't expect to discuss an extension anytime soon, though he remains hopeful he'll stay with the team, according to ESPN's Anthony Slater. "Hopefully I'm here for another few years, but I think it makes sense for the organization, and for me, just to see where this thing is at the end of the year, where they are, where I am," he said. "Hopefully that means we run it back and keep going with this group." A former NBA guard who won 3 titles with the Chicago Bulls and 2 with the San Antonio Spurs, Kerr has helped build a winning culture in Golden State. He also led the United States national team to a gold medal at the 2024 Paris Olympics. Now, he'll aim to lead the Warriors to their 5th championship during his tenure, with Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green leading the charge. Steve Kerr might finally grant Warriors fans their wish with key role for youngster. This could be an early starting lineup indication. If there's one player that Golden State Warriors fans believe has been chronically underutilized in recent years, it might be Moses Moody as he prepares for his fifth year in the league after being a lottery selection in 2021. Whereas many understand the awkward fit with Jonathan Kuminga as he prepares to join the team following the conclusion of his contract stalemate, Moody's inconsistent role under Steve Kerr has often been perplexing for fans in recent seasons. The young wing did enjoy a consistent role toward the end of last season. Before that too fell away due to a drop in form largely caused by a later announced thumb injury that he immediately had off-season surgery on. Moses Moody could regain a starting role to start the season. With Golden State's off-season additions and the presence of another young player in Brandon Podziemski, the idea of Moody regaining a starting role hasn't been overly prominent. That is until now, with Kerr hinting that the 23-year-old is set for a major role, and potentially as a starter alongside the veteran quartet of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green and Al Horford. Speaking to the media on Wednesday, Kerr expects Moody to be the team's primary point-of-attack defender heading into the season, with Podziemski, Kuminga and DeAnthony Melton also likely to be key in that area. Kerr said the point of attack is probably the biggest thing for us this year, defensively. Expects Moses Moody to be the primary point-of-attack defender with Brandon Podziemski, Kuminga, and Melton playing key roles. This team is more capable of switching than last year's. If Moody does gain the trust of Kerr during preseason as the primary point-of-attack defender, it would make logical sense for him to start alongside the veteran quartet given none of them are going to necessarily fill that role. Moody's starting chances also received a boost, albeit an unfortunate one, on Wednesday, with the Warriors confirming that Melton is expected to miss the start of the season as he recovers from his torn ACL injury. That might leave the remaining starting role down to Moody or Podziemski, the latter of which is the incumbent and may have previously been seen as more likely. Kerr's show of confidence in Moody's defense could flip that on its head though, particularly given his extra size and wingspan, which is going to be helpful in guarding some of the league's best defensive players. In his 14 games as a starter prior to the thumb injury, Moody shot 43.3% from three-point range and was playing arguably the best basketball of his career. If he can return to anywhere near that level from beyond the arc, he does become a logical fit as a catch-and-shoot threat playing off Curry and Butler. Kerr will undoubtedly try multiple combinations through preseason, but this might be an early indication of his plans that could include Moody in a starting role. For many fans who believe the former 14th overall pick still has untapped upside in his game, this could be an exciting time in his development.